Good morning, good morning. Guess what? It's another Saturday morning, and you are in the E-Shack this morning. Good morning to everybody that's tuning to us, whether it's via Facebook or ZNES. If you are in the Family Islands or tuned in right here from the capital, whether you're listening to us from one of the United States or around the world, good morning to you too. Good morning, Chairman. How you doing?
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Man.
Dear. Good morning, Bahamas.
I'm so excited to have you back in studio, man. You know?
Yeah, I feel like I haven't been here for a minute.
Welcome back to the Bahamas.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
But how's your week been, man?
Let me tell you something. This has been a beautiful week. We've had our challenges, but you know, we're here to tell the tale. So God is good, and I am eternally grateful and thankful that He's kept us.
This is good, man. We done off to a good start. Ronald, how you doing, man? How you doing?
I am well. He looked like he been off for a while too, but he barely got a little big, I see, as he walking the
street. Boy, let's get on. That's the challenge. I gotta get back to my walking.
Look like he been partying hard, boy.
he won in competition with you and him who could travel the most, eh?
I pale in comparison to him.
Well, folks, we are back, and we are just excited to be here another Saturday morning.
Well, where's the first lady this morning, my brother? There she is this morning.
Well, she went to see a man but a horse.
You can't. When you use that term, you gotta know what you're talking about, you know.
She, I don't know, but she went looking for something.
All right.
And I want to send her apologies out to the public, as she is not here with us at this time. But that doesn't mean that she is not listening wherever that she is. So if we get a strange phone call at anywhere during the show, we will have to stop and render that phone call, because that's probably going to be here. But good morning.
Hey, Darren, you sound like you stumble on something there. You hear that reaction to the thing about the horse?
I told her, brother, when you use that term, you better know what you're talking about.
Watch out for the angels.
Oh boy. Well, before we go anywhere, let's anoint this show and start with our prayer. Heavenly Father, for the gift of life, we give you thanks. For our nation, we pray for peace, progress, prosperity, and principle, recovery, and restoration. For ourselves, we pray for wisdom to use your gifts wisely, especially the gift of Junkanoo, so that we may honor you, serve your people, build better communities and a better Bahamas, and a better world. Amen.
Amen. Proud to be Bahamian. What you got this morning, my brother?
Man, this week been going so fast. I want to say congratulations to all of the graduates that have taken the stage, whether you have graduated from one grade to the next, whether you're graduating from one section of school, preschool, primary school, high school, college. Congratulations to you and your family. Special congratulatory remarks goes out to my little one, Darren, and she graduated preschool.
Congratulations.
Bro, I didn't know people is carrying that bad. At a preschool graduation.
It's a thing now.
Yeah, bro, it was.
A thing.
And, not only a special congratulations to the students, but also to the teachers and their parents and their supports. Yes.
And the support team.
Yeah, it's been good.
That is everybody.
Yeah, man. I mean, the whole school system right now, I know you guys could probably breathe a sigh of release as you're winding down, or you probably had your last day of school, you're getting through those last set of activities, but you made it, and congratulations to you guys.
And some people still line up for summer school.
That sounded like that would have been you.
No.
That would have been you.
No, boss. I think in the universe they probably did summer once just to do it.
Just to do it? Oh God! But okay, yeah. So anything excited for you? Proud to be Bahamian moment.
I last night I had an opportunity to attend the Paste and Sip event over at I think it's over
Collins House.
Collins House last night. Listen to me. I had a wonderful time. It was well attended. It was well organized, and what blew my mind last night was
let me hear this.
the amount of people that sat and painted.
Uh-huh.
That blew my mind. I think they had over 600 people that went through the process of sitting and painting And I said,
You kidding me, man?
I'm serious. And I said, you know, the beauty of that is these hundreds of people will now have a memento from the 50 that they actually did. They stay in their homes. And I thought that was
that going up.
Brilliant.
That probably getting next up to the Our Father prayer with everybody else.
Yeah, right. Because they did it, right? And you know, and they also have this pasting station. So I had an opportunity to throw my hand in on that for a little while, and you know, so I've seen the Junkanoo came to me last. He said, "Man, these fellas were saying how you can't paste."
What?
he had to tell him, say, "Well, you all don't know that, man. Leave that alone." But that's what I can say. This is what I can say to those fellas. Line up, bring your best. 'Cause I am truly one of the best. If you want to see me at work, line up, come see. That's what I can say to them.
Boy. The rock has been thrown.
That's what I can say.
The die has been cast, Ronald.
You didn't see me yet. Come see me.
Well, I tell you what, I had the pleasure this morning of sitting with the Region Bells.
Ooh, I saw them in the parking lot, Ronald. That's what they were.
75 years of a cappella rhyming spirituals around the islands of the Bahamas, an institution in gospel music in the country. And I had the pleasure of interviewing them this morning for 1 hour. A wonderful story.
Where they hail from, Ronald?
Cat Island for the most part.
Cat Island?
Yes, for the most part.
Do they have any of their music recorded?
Yeah, man. They got must about 10 dozen CD or something.
Man, where can I access them? I guess on Facebook.
I will put you in touch with them. I will put you in touch with them.
I grew up on the Region Bells, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
Y'all just have a collection of memories going on this week. Well, folks, we're off to a good start. We have an exciting show lined up for you guys. But before we get started and introduce the show formally to you, we're going to run to our first break. And when we get back, you're going to tune into Junkanoo 242. If you have somebody that has something to say about Junkanoo, call them now. Because this show about to get ecstatic really quickly. So we'll be right back after this break. From the Junkanoo archives on the Junkanoo timeline, the year was 1933. The rum running days had come to an end, and even the Junkanoo parades had fallen off. I wonder if they're all drunk. In that year, a voluntary committee was formed to encourage participation in the Junkanoo parades and to raise funds. Another interesting notch on the Junkanoo timeline.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Junkanoo 242. The E-Shack is wide open this morning. And this morning we have a very special guest in the E-Shack this morning. And we are talking to, I don't know, how should I introduce this gentleman, dear? How do you think I should introduce him?
All the bells and whistles. All the bells and whistles.
We have none other than Mr. CA Newry, radio talk show host, Facebook poster extraordinaire, and so much more. Good morning, Mr. Newry. How are you doing, sir?
I'm always excited to be in your company. But
radio voice now.
But we are here to speak about Junkanoo, right? The cultural aspect of it. The betrayal of Junkanoo by Junkanoos.
The betrayal of Junkanoo by Junkanoos. You hear this?
Yes.
Betrayal of Junkanoo. Oh, let's talk. So, Mr. Newry, give us a little bit of, let's start, like we always say on this show, let's start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Tell us about who you are. Who is CA Newry?
Well, I'm CA Newry, of course. I'm a culturalist. I believe in culture. I promote Bahamian culture, right? I am a genealogist, so I do, as a hobby, Bahamian family trees, right? I'm a student of history, so I do research and propel Bahamian history. I believe in a term called Bahamiana. Bahamiana is a concept of living and thriving and believing in the term Bahamas and what the Bahamas can be and what the Bahamas is. I'm a proponent of defining what Bahamiana is, defining what being a Bahamian is, defining what the Bahamas is. And a part of that definition is defining what Junkanoo is. And I find that when you define Junkanoo, that the propellers of Junkanoo is not living up to what Junkanoo is supposed to be.
So let's start with this then. Tell me what it means to be Bahamian. What is a Bahamian? Who is a Bahamian?
And Bahamian has several definitions, right? Because there's such a thing as a Bahamian citizen, which is not necessarily what is Bahamian. And a Bahamian citizen tends to trump what is being Bahamian because one is a cultural aspect, but one is written in law. A Bahamian citizen is written in law. That means that one doesn't have to born here.
Right.
But
you're Bahamian by right.
You're Bahamian by right and have all the luxuries and benefits of the Bahamas. But there's a concept that is Bahamian, which is a belief and a system of living, which is cultural, right? And
Values.
And values. But there's an exchange of value depending on which island you're from. Right? On family islands, you have to say good morning. Nassau. Yeah, and there's some common denominators. One aspect, and I'm going to throw this out just to start the conversation. When we define culture, which is the way we live naturally, right? I find that Junkanoo is not Bahamian culture.
See, all right, fine.
It has nothing to do with Bahamian culture at all.
Junkanoo, by your estimation, has nothing to do with Bahamian culture.
Because it doesn't fit into the definition of what culture is.
Slow your roll. So I'm going to ask you to define Junkanoo for me, and I'm going to ask you to tell me more about your definition of culture, and then you have to dissect, and then you can put it back together.
So you start from the bottom. What is culture? Culture is what we do naturally. Right. What we do every day, what brings us all together, a shared common belief. Junkanoo is not a shared common belief by Bahamians.
Junkanoo is not a shared, I wish I had brought my notes. Yeah, Junkanoo is not a shared common belief by Bahamians. Bing, all right, put that right over here. Let's hold that, go ahead.
Junkanoo is a heritage festival. We must understand what a heritage festival is, which is a celebration. And use your word parade. Junkanoo is a parade, right? Or you can say I don't believe it's a festival, but Junkanoo is a parade.
Okay.
Right.
By your definition.
By my definition, and then we can define what parade and what festival is too, if you wish. Right. Junkanoo is a parade that is propelled and put forth by New Providence, and that has now extended of recent to Grand Bahama, all the major islands now. Grand Bahama. Eleuthera, Exuma, right? But it has not proliferated down to it has not reached as yet down to the southern Bahamas.
There's a Junkanoo in Agua.
There's a Junkanoo
parade in Agua.
That's Nassau people they ship down there to have the celebrations, right? If you watch Exuma Junkanoo parade, you see all the Nassau people rushing, right? And we've seen this that in fact they can't even have Junkanoo on December 26th throughout the islands because the people in Nassau got to fly down to the various family islands to continue the festival.
Hold on, stick a pin. So, for those of our family islanders who are listening, Darren, what's the number for the family islanders?
1-325-242-8255.
Repeat that number because I want our family islanders to call and dispute what Mr. Newry is saying. They say that
1-242-300-8255.
And
I believe that we have Junkanoo in just about every island.
I like how you use the word just about. And remember, I'm not meaning the four major islands I suggested, right? Eleuthera, and by extension Hab Island, Grand Bahama, even Abaco. All of that is the extension of New Providence extending its wings, its tentacles to have the impact. Those are Nassau people who have now moved to these family islands, right? And say, man, I'm carrying my culture, my heritage of Junkanoo there because I needed to celebrate.
Now, you also, boy, this could be an interesting show. You also made a comment earlier that Junkanoo, how did you put it? Junkanoo is not Bahamian culture because it is not something that we do naturally daily. Is that
Yes.
I don't want to misquote.
Yes, and especially when you compare it to any other cultures, right? Other festivals where they live and breathe, and not a segment of the community. Everybody lives and breathes, right? Let me give you an example, right? I'm calling Trinidad or even Jamaica. When they sing, when they do church, when they go to social communities, when they go to school, they learn Junkanoo, their festival, whatever, reggae or calypso in school. It's a crafted thing in the university. It's a crafted thing in the schools. It's a crafted thing in the church. It's a crafted thing in their neighborhoods.
Every single person
So,
by birth or by culture does.
yes. Let me give you an example. Right? If we're gonna have and I smiled, right, because we having a music competition for the Bahamas 50th anniversary, and to make sure that other aspects of music genres that doesn't come in, the organizers say, Lord, please don't bring those other music to us. We only want the gumbe. And the reason why they did that for, because they know that it's not Junkanoo music, it's not cultural, and that it's ordinary, it honors immediately other aspects, the rap, the reggae would have come in. Now let's put it in Trinidad. If they were having a music competition, right? Let's put it in Jamaica. If they were having a music competition for their independence celebration, there wouldn't have been no need to have a definition of what music
I don't
to
know
bring.
if you can qualify.
They was going to bring in reggae.
I don't know if
Jamaicans were gonna play reggae.
I don't know if you can qualify.
Calypso is going to be played in Trinidad. They wasn't going to have no gumbe. They wasn't going to have no Junkanoo.
So you
at
say
those celebrations, and that's because the aspect of Junkanoo is so foreign to us that we have to share our space with other genres.
Yeah, but all right.
before we go off, can you give me a definition of what is culture according to you?
But like I said, culture is something that we do every day without thinking.
Okay.
Right? Every island of the Bahamas makes peas and rice. From Inagua, straight to Grand Bahama. But straight across, maybe variations, but we know that's peas and rice, you see it. Every island of the Bahamas does crab and rice. Mm-hmm. Now, there can be some variations, but we can say that right there is Bahamian. Anyone around the world can say that's Bahamian right there. Hold on, let me finish. Mm-hmm. Every Bahamian island, from Inagua straight to Grand Bahama, makes macaroni. Could be some variations, right? But we know that's Bahamian. Every island of the Bahamas make Kong salad. Mm-hmm. From Grand Bahama, they may put some mayonnaise inside it, whatever it is, and straight to Inagua. This comes naturally to us. Mm-hmm. However, when it comes to Junkanoo, it's not the same.
See, I think you're getting that mixed up because you're basing it off of a definition of just what you're seeing exhibited as Junkanoo. When you look back at the true meaning of Junkanoo, as you've heard probably on the show, Junkanoo is not a parade. Junkanoo is a celebration of who we are.
Who he is.
Who he is. Hold on. And so when you say who he is, you're saying, oh, we're celebrating one thing. No, we're not celebrating one thing. You have to remember, when you go back to the roots of Junkanoo and how it transversed here to the Bahamas, in those slave ships, in the bellies of those boats, those people came over here and they were stripped. They were stripped of all celebrations that they had, right? However, how I define it to my nieces and nephews lately that had to do it for a project, when they were stripped and came over here, they still had their traditions. They still had their marriages. They still had what we would call the baby dedications and christenings. All of that is in the Bahamas. They still had the rite of passage in terms of a boy becoming a man. All of these things were what they celebrated. You would agree with that?
No. I see what you're trying to spin.
No, I'm not trying to spin it. The question is, those celebrations they brought with them. Now,
it was a part of who they were.
Exactly, and the only time they had to celebrate it was when they were free, when they had downtime.
The only way they could have was what they had, what they knew.
I would ask you and beg you, which tribe are you talking about?
That's just it. when you do the research on Africa, there are multiple tribes, and that is why what we have right now with people trying to define that Junkanoo actually came from one place, one city in Africa, is a problem. Because
You're trying to say that Junkanoo didn't come from Ghana?
I'm trying to say that the Junkanoo, as we know it, is a multitude of people that, like you said, that was brought over here from various different tribes.
Not just one.
Various different tribes from across Africa that probably left from a common port to get here.
So you're saying that Junkanoo didn't come from Ghana?
That's what I'm saying.
So you're trying to say there's no chief Junkanoo?
I cannot say that there's no chief because I did not.
Because that chief came from Ghana.
Hold on, but I'm not saying that there's no chief there. And I want to get back on topic with saying is that the definition of Junkanoo is not just one thing. As you look across Africa, there's various different celebrations. We cannot deny these things. When those people were moved, enslaved here and come here, they didn't stop celebrating themselves. And so here's what we have now in what we know as on those days after Christmas where they was given that freedom to do what they did. Their downtime, they stole away into the night. And during that time was when they was able to actually celebrate that rite of passage, that marriage, that baby christening. Those celebrations is what we know it, using the things that they have, the drum, the whistle, the rattle, is what we have now as a combination of Junkanoo. So it is not just one thing.
And I see Junkanoo is trying to craft new definitions as they go along. Right? and I see you trying to craft it. You're making this up. You're making all of it.
Okay.
Because you would have pinpointed the history of it and say, see the old lion. But since there is no history, because you're crafting it, you just create now a general narrative to make yourself feel better.
Big man, you lost.
Okay. Junkanoo struggling. I'm trying to say it, Junkanoo for y'all.
Mr. Pateman says
You're using Junkanoo every day, and I'm trying to say it for y'all.
Mr. Pateman says, Michael Pateman says, please quote the research correctly. We say the roots of Junkanoo is in Ghana. As more traditions came to the Bahamas, these traditions merged into Junkanoo. Just had to put that correction in there.
They can use all kind of colorful language. We know where it originates.
The fact of the matter is, as Darren articulated earlier, we brought our culture with us.
You're saying that Africans brought Junkanoo with you?
Listen,
right here.
The way we celebrate is Junkanoo.
The way we celebrate what?
Manifest.
Celebrate what? Celebrate what?
Guys, people.
What
you're trying to do is to put Junkanoo in a box.
Yes.
That you ain't familiar with.
I'm trying to define it. And if you are unable to define it may not exist.
No.
And you're struggling to define Junkanoo.
I am not.
And I'm trying to say there needs to be an origin point. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a hard origin point. But there needs to be an origin point.
No.
We know that there's Junkanoo in about 12 Caribbean islands.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Where we all have similar origin in terms of where they start and how we used to celebrate Junkanoo.
So all right, go back to those 12 different islands, right? How do you then say that this thing that we call Junkanoo ended up in 12 different islands, similar in nature, just like how you use your own definition of peas and rice throughout the islands of the Bahamas, macaroni throughout the islands of the Bahamas? How do you propose that Junkanoo, regardless of how it's celebrated, there are many similarities in these 12, using your argument, got there? How did that happen?
Easy. Those persons who went to those 12 different islands,
Who are those people?
hold on. Those people who went to those 12 different islands came to one particular island in the Bahamas, which is New Providence. This is why New Providence has Junkanoo.
Let's go to a break.
Yeah, right? Go ahead. New Providence have Junkanoo, and the rest of the islands just catching on with it now as Junkanoo proliferates throughout the Bahamas. And by reasoning, because you know that one of the last family islands to be populated, and few people know that, is Grand Bahama. Just being populated circa 60s, whatever. They had no Junkanoo at all, right? They had it at all. Abaco had no history of Junkanoo celebrating. So we're not trying to find out how did these rest of islands who have no history of it.
Where were the major?
I know how to get the history. Now, New Providence persons I
think
to these family islands, and Junkanoo took a boot. But the idea that we had, because you know, at once upon a time, the South was the capital of the Bahamas, right? And they had large populations, right? Without the celebration of the Junkanoo, right? Right?
We can't say that. We can't say that. We cannot say that they had those celebrations of the Junkanoo. It may have been called by a different name, but there were celebrations.
Yeah, that might be a different African celebration. That might be Igbo, because you know I'm Igbo, and then a person say the origins of Junkanoo style in Ghana. That's a different type thing. Yeah, but those people went to the province.
Yeah, but CA Newry, I want you to try and understand my point. Junkanoo is not just one particular. It is not just this one thing. It's an amalgamation of celebrations of who we are. And that's what I'm trying to get my point across to you. It isn't, oh, here's how we define it. Oh, here it was. No. These people they had a chance to celebrate. And this is what we've seen it evolved to over time. When you look at, you spoke about Junkanoo being also across the Caribbean, right? Junkanoo is also across the Caribbean. However, what we do as Junkanoo has evolved to a different state, to the point where as what we do here in terms of how we practice Junkanoo is totally different from how you would find it in Jamaica.
I'm glad that you reached there. And then, going back to the initial train of thought, or the initial thesis, the betrayal of Junkanoo by Junkanoo.
Stay on point.
When you go to tourism, they say, "Oh, you need Junkanoo, the Bohemian Carnival." There's a reason why they say that, because it looks just like everything else. They see the feathers. They see the feathers. They see the tricks.
I am not.
That's too bad.
I am not gonna allow you. You come here in the East Shack. Throw a low job.
I'm throwing blows. I'm ringing blows on y'all because y'all mess up Junkanoo.
No.
Y'all betrayed us as a people, and then want to use the scope that everything into the Bahamas is Junkanoo. Y'all want to own my poetry, y'all want to own my singing, and want to call my singing Junkanoo. But no. Y'all's festival have nothing to do with Gombe. Don't try mix up my Gombe with your Junkanoo and say, oh, that under umbrella Junkanoo too. No.
You try to use a number of terms to confuse and confound. That ain't gonna happen here.
Junkanoos are easily confused.
No,
I know that.
No.
I got the confession.
They ain't gonna allow you to do that. Oh, we're gonna break.
We have a heated discussions going on, but it is a healthy discussion on bringing on various different perspectives of Junkanoo. We're running to our break. When we get back, we'll dive right into the rest of this conversation. Filed under F for fathers. Thanks to the historians among us, we know that Junkanoo has been in the Bahamas for hundreds of years, and primarily as an all-male activity before the 1940s. We realize then that this proud tradition has survived and flourished because of the determination of fathers in every generation to instill a strong sense of cultural pride in their children. And so, to the thousands of nameless men, our ancestors who paved the way for us to enjoy this magnificent Junkanoo of today, we say a heartfelt thank you. Our Junkanoo. We're so proud of it.
I love that. Hold on, control the show. It's your show. Forgive me. I know he started talking history though.
No, hold it.
Darren.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You listen to Junkanoo 242. The E-Shack is wide open. And I am going out there to say we're talking to a Junkanoo infidel today. Right? He is trying to control first of all, he's trying to control the show. Then he's trying to control the narrative of Junkanoo. Then he's trying to confuse and confound. That ain't happening here today, CA Newry. That ain't happening here today. So when we left, we started to talk about this whole what we know to be the origin of Junkanoo, the celebration of who he is. You made a comment that although Junkanoo may be celebrated, some form of Junkanoo, in various islands throughout the Caribbean. That is the result, to me it's a nonsensical argument. That is the result that these people came he said to the Providence, right? And then went to these other islands and formed Junkanoo. Are you out of your mind, CA? CA, tell me you were joking with that.
There is a narrative that the people in the
narrative?
hold on, I can tell you.
And I'm saying this was
no, man, we good.
Yeah.
There's a narrative in Georgia, in the islands of Georgia, that Junkanoo came to the Bahamas via them, right? That the person from the loyalists and their slaves who came here, they brought Junkanoo. They started Junkanoo here. I'm not sure if that's true because hold on. Because I find that Junkanoos don't do the research on their own self.
We gotta disagree.
I can say that circa 1827, right? I know that Junkanoo is outlawed in the Bahamas. Junkanoo is outlawed in the Bahamas because it was said that it's obeah. It's written down inside our books. No, I just want to put that in. I already started history, no. I want to throw in the history because Junkanoo is outlawed in the Bahamas because it was ranked as being obeah. Said that the people who was doing the fire dance and who was doing Junkanoo gone inside a trance, and that the establishment said that trance is dangerous for the Bahamas. It was being outlawed. And I'm trying to say, I mentioned that before because the people who claim they are Junkanoos don't know even Junkanoo history. How can you be a Junkanoo without knowing your own history? And then you start defining, Junkanoo based on circa 1990s and say this is a definition of Junkanoo, which is how we celebrate. I say, how you celebrate what?
Janine,
you're just making it up.
Janine says on Facebook, you are right. It is a collaboration of African tradition that has brought Junkanoo to the point we know it as today. Denzel goes on to say, my Grammy them called it Russian, as it was called in many of the family islands. We still have to trace the root of when the name Junkanoo emerged.
I have that history too, though. Like, remember, I do history. I find that Junkanoos don't do history, but I can leave that there. But nonetheless, I want to throw this in. I need to throw this in that Russian is a jumper church word. They still rush in the family island because it's a church word. If you go to a jumper church now, they still rush. So you can't confuse Junkanoo with Russian. When there's two different concepts. One is African, and one is a Christian spirit, African spiritual belief system. Right? The same way how we celebrate New Year's Day. But you want to know when we coined the phrase Junkanoo instead of John Canoe? I can tell you that history too. Because history of the Bahamas is important, and I believe that Junkanoos have betrayed Junkanoo because y'all don't know your own history. Y'all just make up things just to make yourself feel good.
You're letting stop sensationalizing the point.
Right? That is sensational. Junkanoo's at risk. Junkanoo's at risk because y'all are bad stewards of Junkanoo. And I am concerned, as a culturalist, I need to say, y'all stop messing up Junkanoo for the rest of us.
Stick to a point. Stop jumping from point to point to point. Let's address these points deliberately and intentionally. Don't come to confuse.
You're trying to confuse me. You're one of those Junkanoos who betrayed Junkanoo. Y'all go on Carnival and bring Carnival here and have us confused with you.
We can get to that.
You can get to the betrayal.
I understand why you're confused, you know.
You understand?
I understand why you don't understand and appreciate Junkanoo, you know.
I understand.
I understand, you know.
Go ahead.
I fully understand.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to throw all kind of things in the pot.
Yes. And to further
make gumbo and call it something else.
I like gumbo.
Hold on. Then leave the show and say, see, I got to make a mess. No, that ain't gonna happen.
Junkanoo's a mess now.
No, it's not.
It's not?
It is not.
Y'all can't even rush on time. Y'all can't even leave the gate on time.
You're talking about.
Y'all still row.
You're talking about a parade.
I still don't even know who owns Saxons, because I think Willem owns Saxon by himself. That's why you can't move him. Tell me Willem owns Saxon. Tell me right now Willem does not own Saxon. Just say no, and then we move on. But just tell me he doesn't own the whole Junkanoo group. It's incorporated in his name. And he could fire people and say, y'all don't use my name no more. Tell me that.
I hope that you are in an isolated spot. You're the only person thinking like that.
Tell me Willem owns Saxon.
It has nothing to do with Willem.
Yeah,
back on Junkanoo.
It's good that we invited him today because this is some of the narratives that we get to see from various different people on how they view this Junkanoo that we love so much and their perspective of it. A lot of people, as he raised the point of Russian still goes on in the church, it lends strength to my argument, and also I say it my definition, whereas Junkanoo is not this one thing. It is not this one act. It is a celebration of who he is. And in the church, that's how they celebrate. Through rushing, through those hymnals, that's how they celebrate. We have celebrations all around us, and we say, okay, this is how we celebrate. Hence, Junkanoo. It isn't this one linear definition that you can root back and say, this person say, you know what, let's get a drum and a whistle, and we can come together and we can call this Junkanoo. No. It was not rooted like that. It did not start like that. And I would hate for anybody to believe that is what happened.
If I find it entertaining that everybody else around the world who have history and culture is able to have an origin story, is able to have an origin story, can cite dates, can cite the changes, can cite what they have adopted. But when you come to Junkanoo, you say, no, we's everything.
Okay, now see that
we's everything.
We're doing an ever here. I say we are everything. We are very specific
In who we are and why we do
who y'all is
and what we why
who y'all is.
Listen to me.
Go ahead.
CA.
I'm listening.
We know that, and Junkanoo dates back to the days of slavery. We were snatched from Africa, brought to this part of the world. We had an opportunity at limited time of the year to celebrate who we are and recreate our own festivals. That is the root of who we are. How we have celebrated has evolved over hundreds of years to what we call, in some respects, a parade today. That parade is a manifestation of how we celebrate who we are.
I love the word parade. I see you come back to the word.
The parade is a manifestation of how we celebrate who we are.
Once you use the word parade,
who he is.
Yeah.
It's only a manifestation of that.
Yes. Just one manifestation.
It's a manifestation of who we are, who he is.
Yes.
Folks, if you want to chime in on this conversation, give us a call. 325-5403, 325-5404, 325-5405. And from our family of islands, CA say y'all don't have Junkanoo. Y'all is import people from Nassau. Y'all better call for him. 1-242-300-8255. Chime in on this conversation. See, I'm happy that you took the invitation to actually show up on the show. A lot of people post a lot of stuff on Facebook and they hide behind the social media when we invite them or when we ask them to expand on their thoughts. And I want you to believe that we are learning from some of the perspectives that you have. In my regard, as you speak to Junkanoo history and stuff like that, it's not the fact that we don't do Junkanoo history. It may not be as popular. It may not be as popularized or brought to the forefront. And yes, there is some work that needs to be done in that regard to get it to the forefront, to get this more information out there. But there is information that is being done. Okay, there is research that is being done on this craft that we love so much. No, we're not as fortunate as very amount of other cultures as to say this date it start here and this date it start here. But you would also start to realize in your research that some of those dates that a lot of people put in books are lies, and it's their history according to them. Okay, and so as we do the research, we want to actually highlight things that we can actually validate. Things that we actually know that is true. And so a lot of the arguments that you see I raise or Bastian would raise is saying that it's not just something that is convoluted. It is something that we say, okay, here's what we have researched, here's what is done, here's what has bin manifested. Okay?
Yeah, anyway, I still say you all are responsible for the betrayal of Junkanoo.
No. We can deal with him for a few minutes on that. I don't want him,
because we got to jump into that too.
I don't want him. Let's go to the phone.
I would know if one family have a headquarters in the place.
Yeah, good morning, organized. Good morning, hello. Let's go to the phone lines.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Roller, can you speak up just a little bit for me, please?
Yes. I had to, the first time I called, but I had to call because I heard this young man saying that people come down from Nassau and teach the people in the old island about Junkanoo. I was a man 79 years old, and when I go to war, when I go to creep, I was hearing Junkanoo on Christmas in Andres. Junkanoo was in Andres on Christmas. We were keeping up Junkanoo. So anybody come come down from Nassau to teach us Junkanoo. I studied nice. And Junkanoo was the Andrews where I born. 1943.
And nobody brought that from Nassau.
Everybody played that from Nassau.
So, what's your name, sir?
Isaac Colbert.
Mr. Colbert.
From Master Point, Andrews.
Master Point.
Our culture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Colbert. Thank you very much, Mr. Colbert.
Thanks for calling.
That's why I call him an infidel.
That's when Charles Dean brought his slaves down to Master Point.
Good morning, hello.
Yes, good morning.
Hi. Go ahead for me.
Thank you. First caller into the show.
Thank you for joining us.
I was going to take offense with the young man.
I need you to turn on your radio or your TV if you have it on for me, please.
Did we lose her?
Are you still there?
Yeah, I think he's trying to get her. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mom.
Yes, like I said, I was going to take offense, but I will not be deterred as being Bahamian. With the history, like I said, everybody writes their own narrative, and it's up to you what you believe. Once we fact check, then that's how we get to answers. And the music, anywhere around the world, if you put goatskin drums, whistles, and bells, people are going to say that's Bahamian. They're not even going to say that's Junkanoo. They're going to say that's Bahamian. So our music is all known all around the world. Junkanoo is innate. That is a part of us. And we need all in Nash for this young man. Thank you. Have a great day.
Ron, that's it?
And I appreciate the caller, and I appreciate her being nice to me in terms of my critique of Junkanoo. One thing I appreciate about the origins of Bahamian music, Goombay, even Calypso, when we used to do Calypso, Bahamian Calypso.
We're talking Junkanoo, Bahamian.
We're going to Junkanoo now. This is the point I'm trying to make, right? The caller said that you hear Junkanoo and the people recognize it, right? Not even once upon a time, persons like Blank Blake, persons like Joseph Spence, and all those great musicians who play everything other than Junkanoo, you celebrate them because they are now being duplicated around the world because of their technique of Bahamian music. I'm not sure if Junkanoo has been duplicated. One reason it has not been duplicated because it hasn't been developed into words and songs as yet. Again, a betrayal of Junkanoo by Junkanoos. You all even put it to music yet.
Stick a pin.
It's not. I'm not even sure if there's. Let me say this. I'm not sure if there's any Junkanoo book in any of the libraries in the Bahamas. Any.
See, Ronald.
You all ain't write nothing down.
Ronald, you are a musician. See, I ain't gonna let you come here and get away with a statement like that. We have a consummate musician.
I don't even know what Goombay is
in the house. Ronald, how do you respond to that?
I'm amused. That's how I respond to it. I believe, quite frankly, listening to him, he's just here for the argument's sake.
Yeah. That's clear, right?
I believe he's just here for the argument's sake.
And whereas I would say that Junkanoo is at risk. Junkanoo is at risk of collapsing, right? And as it morphs into being something that is not Junkanoo. And whereas people saying, you are just arguing for arguing's sake. I'm here as a culturalist saying that the Junkanoos because everything they do is about culture and analyzing culture and putting history towards it, right? Okay. And recording. I am saying that Junkanoos in general has done nothing in order to record, in order to explore, in order to define what it is that Junkanoo is and what Junkanoo is going to become. In the future, Junkanoo is going to be exactly like Carnival. In fact, tourists are calling it Carnival now because it looks like Carnival, right? And again, it's a betrayal. Mind you, everyone said, no, we morphed it in developing. But as we lose ourselves as Bahamians, right? Because you all just want to dance and sing on Bay. as we lose ourselves.
No, Junkanoo.
No, I know y'all.
No, you don't.
I know y'all. See, the same way how y'all can send a Junkanoo representative 20 strong, right? And the Junkanoo music flat and say, this is what is it? And no shame. No shame in man. You can't send that. You can't send that.
Give me 1 second. Let's run to the phone lines. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning. How you doing?
All right. Go right ahead for us.
This is Chief Stinking Goatskin.
Get him.
Listen, we all find a young man. A young man ain't no Junkanoo. He ain't a baby.
No, but see, that's the thing. He doesn't has to be a Junkanoo, but the thing about it is now to think that he may not be a practitioner in Junkanoo. The question is, do we have other people who think the way that he thinks because us, the Junkanoo community, is not probably exhibiting certain things properly?
No. Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody. He is the only one in this country thinking like that. Now you have people that may not go to Junkanoo.
Okay.
You might have some people that may not like Junkanoo. Okay, let me break it down. Mahatma rice, we don't make that here. But like he say, when we put the peas and rice and a little spin on that, the peas and that, we make that Bahamian. When Master Ronald Sims took up his horn, the horn wasn't made in the Bahamas, but when he blows that, he make that Bahamian. You understand? Junkanoo, when we take the Junkanoo beat, the goat skin drum, and the Junkanoo, wherever the name come from, that we done face back, and we add a little flavor to that, that's Bahamian. Where does young man come from, man?
It's the manner in which we do what we do, right?
Exactly. If you take whatever, we don't make flour, but when we do our boiled fish, we call it Johnny cake on the side of that. We made it out. So it's what you do with what you have in the front of you. The crepe paper is not made here, but we make it out.
But how we use it.
Is how you use it. So I don't know if you can close the show really, because I ain't sure Newry, if that's Newry, he ain't making too much sense to the time to take it.
Let's say that, man.
Darren,
So
I would say
you down by 3 votes, eh?
I can say I would willing to wage that
Thank you,
less
Stinking Goatskin.
than 7% of the Bahamian population, straight across, so 400,000 wherever immigrants here also, less than 7%, not even 10%. I'll go down less than 5% of Bahamians ever participated in Junkanoo. Ever.
What does that mean?
See, remember I said in terms of culture we do it naturally? That no matter what it is that
He's talking about a parade.
no, I talk about Junkanoo in general. Whatever it is, rushing at home and celebrating with cowbell, ever pace a fabric, ever make a goat skin drum, knows how to make a goat skin drum, knows how to shuffle. There are less than 5% of us knows how to do that or ever had done that, right? Which means that it cannot be cultural because the majority of people, in order to be cultural, the majority of people must participate in it in various forms. I'm not saying rush, no, go on the parade, no. I'm saying enjoy Junkanoo that you said, hey, I go in no chair to cut and paste. Now, mind you, let me put this way. Now, as a cultural aspect,
missing manifest.
I would say that 60% of us are culturally spectators. That we are watchers. That's a different aspect of culture. So we are culturally watchers. That doesn't mean that we are involved in Junkanoo. The majority of us are not Junkanoo participants and not Junkanoo enthusiasts. We just watch it.
I don't
We don't know how. You trying to say majority of us rush? Just tell me the majority of us rush.
I will wager
Wager it.
to say
The majority of
the
Bahamians here.
vast majority of people in the Bahamas have been involved with at some point, influenced by what we know Junkanoo to be. You are constantly talking about the manifestation of Junkanoo. And in your limited argument, it speaks to a parade and it speaks to preparation for that parade. So that's why your argument with me can't hold water. And that's why you want to...
Because you're in that trance.
And then
You're in that Junkanoo trance. You've been over here. They obeyed Junkanoo obeah when they had that as an obeah ritual. And like I said, few Bahamians know that narrative.
This is music.
Right? Few Bahamians even know that narrative of when Junkanoo was outlawed for being obeah, or the definition of obeah. Few people know that. Or when that Junkanoo stopped in 1940 during the recession. Few Junkanoos know that. But we are the 4 or the 2% of Bahamians who rush are prepared to rush without any history or knowledge of Junkanoo or any direction of where Junkanoo is going.
The Junkanoo goddess made this comment. So he also ain't do no research on other countries. He's technically saying you ain't do no research and your claims are false.
Mind you,
you throwing numbers out. You spewing numbers out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're calling yourself a culturalist. You're calling yourself for this and you're that. And you are right here. Well, Ronald says amusing. I agree with him, right? You're right here trying to dispel one of the things that is clearly culturally rooted in a place called the Bahamas.
Because with an desperation of trying to own something. When you analyze the numbers again, in other
but these numbers you analyze.
No. If you analyze the numbers in terms of participatory of Junkanoo festival or the parade or whatever you want to come in, the majority of persons are watchers. We are spectators. Junkanoo is a spectator sport, right? There are, like you say, if you add in all of the Junkanoo groups throughout the whole Bahamas. Right? I'm not sure if you can get up to 20,000 people total as being membership. And mind you, I throw that number. If you're saying that Junkanoo has 20,000 people participating in it yearly
about a parade.
No, I just said no. I'm just giving you an example because the parade is the big dance, or the parade ain't the big dance no more.
So, hold on,
the parade ain't the big dance. I'm trying to say the parade is the big dance.
Are you saying that in order for something to be something you deem something that they do naturally, it has to be participatory by everybody or the majority of the
people? In order for it to be cultural means a majority. Culture means the majority is participating in some degree. And I'm not saying even just rushing, I'm saying participating in some degree. The participatory part is the spectator part. Is the NBA cultural to the Bahamas? We have our own teams, but the NBA is American. It's not our culture, but we do participate by being spectators. Is the Junkanoo part of our culture? It's part of our culture because we spectated too, just like Junkanoo. We watch Junkanoo. We need to be involved in it, right? But we, the majority of Bahamians, will watch it. We ain't coming down from top of Scotia building to say I'm going to the shack, and I'm not going to place.
Brings you there?
Me?
So what is it that brings?
I just watch Junkanoo on TV like the majority of us. You don't watch Junkanoo on TV?
No.
You don't watch Junkanoo? No, you don't watch Junkanoo. The majority of Bahamians watch Junkanoo on TV.
Don't do that.
No. When last you going to be? You watch Junkanoo on TV, right? I see him. See him? No, you watch Junkanoo on TV.
Another break.
I got you, though.
When we get back,
I got you.
We're gonna deal with the point.
When last Ronald going to be?
The betrayal in Junkanoo. I think that one you'd probably have a leg to stand on that one at some regard.
All the joints together.
You tune in to Junkanoo 242. We'll be right back.
Examples of excellence. Mr. John Chippy Chipman is a legend in the history of Junkanoo and entertainment in the Bahamas. Born in 1928, Chippy demonstrated his love for music at an early age and began his professional career in entertainment by dancing with his late wife Rebecca, and together they performed at the major night spots of the day, with Chippy drumming and Becky's fire dancing. In the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, Chippy was a premier Junkanoo group leader. He was instrumental in the change from the wooden salt beef keg to the tin barrel, and encouraged Donzel Hyler to make Bahamian cowbells. You heard that? To make Bahamian cowbells. He represented the Bahamas around the world. He made goatskin drums and nurtured hundreds of young Bahamians, teaching them how to make and play Junkanoo drums. He gave freely of his time and talents to schools and other organizations and will forever be remembered as the father of modern-day Junkanoo, John Chippy Chipman, this week's posthumous inductee into the Junkanoo 242 Shack of Excellence.
Yes. You tuned in to Junkanoo 242, man. If you didn't know, you just tuned in. We are on the second lap. You getting leave? We're on Shirley Street now.
All the Junkanoos on Shirley Street. I know where CA is.
before we went to a break, we was in a heated discussion of some things. Posts that you recently posted on Facebook, and I think garnered
Can I
a
ask
lot
one
of
question,
attention.
please, Darren?
Go ahead.
Before we get to that, right, and we're going to address that, how many people you think really think the way you do, CA? Search your heart. Because really, how many people you think really think the way you do? Because I know that you're coming here from a sensationalist point of view, right? I know that.
He's serious.
But see, I'm analytical in approach. I, as a culturalist and person who analyze culture and say this is the definition of us, I have no biasness because all of you are Junkanoos. You have no other choice but to defend it. If I say, my point is, I'll say, man, Junkanoo have too many feathers, and you say, man, no, man, we morphin'. Right? And you'll defend the feathers.
Never heard that on the show.
You'll defend the feathers. And those people who like the feathers and stuff say, no man, Junkanoo changing. You can't keep it like that old stale thing. Whereas I would be a culture to say, I don't mind one or two pieces of feathers,
No.
But that's not the costume.
Changing. The manifestation of how these costumes are being produced is changing.
I like you use these big words now.
Folks, we got a call on the line. Good morning, hello.
I want to say good morning to the worshipful master and wish him well.
I greet you well, my brother.
My brother, listen, don't let Newry take you all off track.
He can't do that.
Sure, all right.
We are culturally and Junkanoo grounded.
Yeah, and congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
and I know you may want me to read what I posted on Facebook. But I want to say this. I want to ask this, and then this is how I can beat you on first. Does one family Junkanoo group have a headquarters? Where's your office? This is just where it is, so I can go find it.
What is the relevance? I
can tell you the relevance after you tell me where it is. I'll tell you where you tell me where it is. I'll tell you the relevance of it.
Do we have a headquarters?
Where the office is.
We don't have an office at this point.
Okay, let me hold on. Does Warriors Junkanoo Group have a head office or some sort I can go to?
Right now, I don't think there's any Junkanoo organization.
No Junkanoo Group have a headquarters?
Yes.
No secretary to record things?
No, that's different.
No, that's different.
That's different.
Very different.
They work from home in the mastering thing.
What are you recording? I had a secretary.
Notes and information.
And they happen at where? Meetings, right?
You know why there's a new Junkanoo museum owned by someone who's not a Junkanoo? It's because you're betraying Junkanoo. It's your who caused that. Your caused them to have a Junkanoo museum in the port owned by someone who has no clue what Junkanoo is about. And now I'm hinting towards your betrayal to Junkanoo. And then you all get all defensive and say, it ain't us. You all ain't organized yet. You all don't even have a written history of the one family organization. You have a picture book.
No.
You have a picture book. I say picture book. I say picture book. A lot of pretty pictures. You all make good costumes.
CA, stop.
Warriors don't have no history book. Saxons don't have no history book. Music makers don't have no history book.
That means what?
It means that you're betraying Junkanoo. That's what it means.
Alright, hold on.
You all have Junkanoo for jokes.
Give me a joke. Give me a minute.
You get 2 minutes.
One family's history is well documented.
Well,
Very well
I can say
documented.
well.
The same history is also documented for the Saxons, and I'm sure the other Junkanoo groups as well. Well documented.
Now, you may argue that you don't have public access to it.
Oh Lord, have mercy. They hiding information. Y'all might be Europeans though, because y'all like hiding things from Africans.
Let's jump on.
Y'all like hiding things, and I'm watching y'all betrayal, and y'all trying to sugarcoat the betrayal. And I believe eventually the Bahamian people realize that Junkanoo is in danger. Junkanoo is in jeopardy because in your hands, Junkanoo is not safe. You all have betrayed Junkanoo by bringing all these carnival aspects to Junkanoo, and now that we're getting Bahamian used to it, the next thing will happen to Junkanoo, we can start having calypso songs on the parade, on the big dance. That's the next, and they can say, that's development, that's the next thing we're going through. And I can say, see what I mean? Y'all make Junkanoo Carnival, and no one is out here defending the sacredness of Junkanoo.
Okay, so we get your point.
Yeah, I know where you come from.
We get your point on that. But we're going to this last post that you made that garnered a lot of attention from people in the Junkanoo community, and it's titled "The Betrayal of Junkanoo by Junkanoos." Junkanoo traveled to Trinidad, traveled to Brazil, and traveled to New Orleans to educate the diaspora that Junkanoo is premier and superior to all. But when these Junkanoo returned to the Bahamas, they brought back feathers, they brought back styrofoam, they brought back tricks, they brought back wires, brought back the carnival line vocabulary, the calypso music, and have changed the Junkanoo concept to look like where we visited. Then the Junkanoos lobbied to import carnival and have carnival be a staple in the Bahamian culture. Now, when the tourists and international culture writers write about Junkanoo, they use the phrase, it's Bahamas Carnival. My point to you is, you want to elaborate on these thoughts, or?
Man, that's clear and explanatory. I think that is a truism on which Junkanoos tend to put their, like ostrich, put their head inside the sand and do not address the issue. There are some, again, I pride myself as being a culturalist, is saying that when we go toward the parade, the big dance, right? You look at the rule book and say, this is what we do Junkanoo for and why we do it. And then you start designing your costume so you don't betray the reasoning of Junkanoo.
Go back. Repeat what you said just now, please.
I find it entertaining.
Repeat what you said just now, please.
I find it entertaining. You try to
repeat what you said just now, please.
You just try to trap me up with words and things. No. My point is, Darren. My point is, Junkanoo's in jeopardy. Right? You can say, well, we have a large contingent of persons who join in Junkanoo every day, right?
Okay.
But I don't see it's being taught in any school. It hasn't reached the university. All other cultures have these things in university already, you know.
Here's where you're wrong as well.
We have ours longer.
Here's where you're wrong as well. Junkanoo is now also at the University of the Bahamas.
Doing what?
Being taught.
Yeah?
Yes.
What the course name?
Refer to Dr. Nicolette Bethel.
Yes.
Right?
She's an anthropologist. She's teaching anthropology in this other aspect. I mean, you're trying to trick me again. You're trying to trick me.
We had her on the show. She did actually the course. I think it was last spring on Junkanoo.
And you know where Junkanoo is also being taught?
Where it's taught?
In every shack in this country. In every shack in this country. Anybody can walk into any Junkanoo shack. With the right time and effort, they can learn the art of Junkanoo.
Can they learn the history of Junkanoo inside the shack?
They can learn the history as well.
So
CA Newry, I honestly forgive you for your lack of knowledge regarding Junkanoo. Simply because you have not invested enough time in the Junkanoo shack to become a practitioner of Junkanoo, to learn more about Junkanoo, to learn about the history of Junkanoo, and I forgive you for that. And this morning you were sensational.
So I try my best to be quiet.
You're being very sensational. That's fine, but I forgive you. But because I know you're not speaking from a position of knowledge. You're speaking from a position.
So you tell me, I can go into one family shack and ask who owns Saxon Superstars, and they would tell me Willow Francis owned it and he incorporated it in his name, and that nobody can use the name unless they ask him, that he can take the whole name of Saxon Superstars and say this belongs to me. In fact, he leave it to your family. Can I learn that in one family shack?
First of all,
the history of Junkanoo?
I am not going to discuss
you want to talk about
the business of the Saxon.
But you hear about it though. You heard about that. You know about that then. You try to say you know about that. You never heard about that. You can leave that quiet.
I would prefer
betray Junkanoo.
You discuss the business of the Saxons with the Saxons.
With the Saxons. How they messing up. You want to hear about the valley and anyway. Go ahead.
So if left to you and you had to give some points on what we should do with Junkanoo, from a historical point of view, from a teaching point of view, what would be your tips to the people in charge?
First of all, Junkanoo's need to own Junkanoo. I don't necessarily think Junkanoo's own Junkanoo. you're able to manipulate the parade.
When you say own
push.
Junkanoo.
I give you an example of that,
Okay.
right? The very idea that a non-Junkanoo owns the now, quote, National Museum inside the port is an issue that Junkanoo should have an issue with.
Yeah,
that
but-
you are being relegated to workers yet again.
See, you know,
right?
let's put some.
You asked me
to
for
that
point.
point.
You asked for
I'm
point.
not going to let you continue, but what you're saying is this. The port is a business deal. It's a private deal.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
So hold on. That means that anybody has a chance to start it. Anybody can go anywhere right now and say, right, and they don't have to be a practitioner or a participant, and they can start a Junkanoo museum. Let's agree on that.
It can get taken from you all.
No, let's agree on that, right? Let's agree on that, right?
Sean can get taken from you all, and
I'll
you'll
let you
be watching it happen right now, right in front of your eyes. That's getting taken from you all, and everyone said, no, that's the behemoths. They can take advantage. You can get taken from you all right in front of your eyes, right?
Who can get taken?
The whole Junkanoo.
What is that? What is that?
When they,
your definition, that will be taken. What is it that will be taken?
In the future, when Bay Street is finally privatized and have local government and administrators, and they say that y'all is a noise nuisance, right? And that you are interrupting the private practices of people living on Bay, and they say y'all got to move from Bay Street, then you're going to say, but look how these things happening to me, and I did, and that Newry Bay, he did warn us that it's going to happen. It's going to get taken from you all because you already have sense enough to define yourselves.
What is it that, according to you, will be taken?
The whole concept. You're going to be regulated to over the hill, and then small groups.
Small Russia over there.
No, it'll only be small groups. Because there will be no union. It can become.
Let's see it come with these broad statements. Let it define and break them down. What is it that will be taken?
The whole concept will be taken from you.
What is the concept?
It can be 20 yards.
What is the concept?
It can be 20 yard drumming.
What is it?
It ain't gonna be no big group no more. It ain't gonna be no big group no more.
What is the concept that will be taken?
You soon see. My recommendations. My recommendations.
No, what is the concept?
My recommendations.
You can't see as a politician. There's a manifesto with a bunch of statements.
Recommendations is Junkanoos need to own Junkanoo.
Okay.
Right?
And what does that look like with
each Junkanoo group need to have a business place where those persons who are interested in developing the craft, know about the history of Junkanoo and a particular Junkanoo group can gravitate there and say, I'm here to do some research on the One Family group, on the Saxon Superstars group, on the Music Makers group, right? I want to be able to get access to the archives and the history of who is the chairman, who is the deputy chairman, and go in detail. I want to be able to get access to how I can get a costume made without me going in the roughness of the shack and say, man, I don't feel safe as a woman from old west or old east. And the people say, man, you go there still. They say, but I just tell you, I feel safe. I want an office-like environment. We have go ahead.
So then, I can't bring you to one of my traditional shacks.
Yeah, you could. Well, for a tour, yeah.
I can't bring you to one of my traditional shacks to have this authentic experience. I have to bring you to something else.
See,
so I have to change who I am.
I
have to hold on. I have to change my authenticity to suit you.
As a cultural,
do I have to change my authenticity?
No, I respond now. As a person who involved in tourism, I have brought tourists to shacks and say this is the tradition of Junkanoo, and they experience roughness and they pleased with that, right? But there is an environment that should be sacred. A shack is supposed to be sacred, where you don't want each and everybody there to stop the music.
Shack if it isn't culture, if it isn't
culture,
why you bring them there? So why would you bring them there if Junkanoo is not a part of Bahamian culture as you espouse?
It's a part of Bahamian heritage.
Why would you bring them there
to experience the heritage?
So that means then that you are giving them a false definition of what the Bahamas is. Then
no. Because again, I'm not sure if we define. I'm not sure if we define what heritage is. Heritage is the celebratory system of a particular group within a wider culture. Junkanoo is a heritage festival. It's a festival of New Providence that has now been expanded to the various family islands, right? It's
No.
According to you.
No, sir. No, sir. By his definition.
Yeah, according to him.
Oh, but look at some definition of heritage. The word heritage versus culture. I mean, culture is done by the majority of people. Heritage is done by a specific group of people.
We're gonna run to our last break, folks. This
Don't need to invite me back, man. These breaks too coming up too soon.
we're gonna be right back. You tuned in to Junkanoo 242.
And for news of the Sharp Wall for all authentic Junkanoos, happy birthday greetings to everyone who will celebrate their birthdays in the upcoming week, especially Javon Clark, Tommy Parker, Shelley Bastian, Uncle Tony Bastian, Randolph James, Seven Bastian, Apostle Henry Higgins, and Dina Gadet Moxie. We wish you all a happy and blessed New Year. Happy Father's Day to all fathers. We remember especially those fathers mourning the loss of their children, and children mourning the loss of their fathers. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, and our condolences go out to all who are mourning the loss of loved ones at this special time of the year. We also want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yep.
Countdown, and it is Saturday, June the 17th, 2023, and we what?
You couldn't believe it?
Away from Bay.
Folks, you tuned in to Junkanoo 242. I got some comments here that needs to be read.
I want to say something. I met a Junkanoo yesterday, right? This is not an ad, right? But you know, Junkanoos are all over the place. I was at a particular place yesterday and had some food, some ribs from Smokehouse. Nathan Taylor, congrats, boss. Good food. I just want to put a plug for Nathan.
Nathan the Junkanoo?
Yeah.
Good guy.
Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, we have some comments that want to be that should be read. Arlene is tuned in, so I can't wait to hear her outlook and perspective on this show. CA, but we have a quote that's saying that I'm trying to get the reply. Oh, okay. This is from Gina. Says, oh, okay. This was in reply to, please quote the research correctly. We say that the roots of Junkanoo of Ghana has more traditions come from the Bahamas. And she replied and said that has not always been the position. But indeed, we have heard some persons identifying it specifically with one village and one culture as a root. Okay, I got it. We can clear it up. All right. So back to what we were discussing. Eric, I want to pronounce your name properly. Kuthoff is saying that you're seeking a perfect solution where everybody is happy is impossible. Nothing gets done. There's a beautiful new national museum and you're going to complain about the owners instead of celebrate it. Why not instead critique the quality of content and not be so negative? That's another comment that we have that's coming in on Facebook. What do you say to that, CA?
One of these days, I hope that Junkanoos own something.
Okay.
They've been talking about a national museum for a while.
You mean the Junkanoo community collectively?
Collectively.
Okay.
Right? Where they are involved and getting a return for their work and in general. And that is not happening still. So I'm hoping, and congratulations to Miss Arlene Nash, because she has her Junkanoo Museum. Congratulations to Barabbas. He has his Junkanoo Museum. And I want to see Junkanoos benefit more, intimately benefit more, instead of persons who are capitalists benefit from the hard work of Junkanoos. So that's my concern.
Let me give you...
Capitalism has done a number to Africans and in terms of the sweat and tears, and I think that continues inside the Junkanoo community.
I want to reply to the comment of you saying that Junkanoo organizations should have offices. And to a certain degree, I agree with you. However, we have to also realize in this society, being capitalist, it also has to be profitable to have such a venture. Why I say that is because all Junkanoo groups, none of them are privately held. Most of them are done by sponsorship, coming out of people's monies. One of the issues is there's challenges with doing a lot of things. Right now, the Junkanoo community is facing a challenges with just getting light for their shacks. Temporary light. Before they went to BEC and we got temporary light. We turned it off on during the season or whomever. Now we're facing a challenge, whereas they try and prepare for Independence Day parade and all of the obstacles, and we can't get light because now BPL is now requesting us that we have a occupancy certificate for shack. Okay, these are some of the challenges that the public don't know that we face. Okay, there's also other challenges in terms of funding. Okay. Yes, there's avenues I feel as though organizations should look at and put in place. You've heard me say it on the show that they need to look at empowering themselves and putting in mechanisms that they can garner in monies to start to self-fund themselves. I agree with that, but that takes time. Not only does it take time, it takes the proper leadership and vision of doing it. All right, a lot of people do not understand that. There's a lot of people who come to the shacks. They want to pick up materials, they want to pick up costumes, but they're not interested in how these costumes are getting built, how you're getting materials, how you're funding these things, how you're keeping the light on. They're not interested. And so when you're doing something from that nature, like the person said, you have to commend what is being done, but also, yes, I do agree with you, critique what needs to be done or give some subtle direction as to, hey, maybe you guys should look at this and look at that. So I think we're off in this discussion. I've learned a few things, from listening to you speak.
I don't want Junkanoo collapse. Junkanoo means more than just a parade. You keep on mentioning parade. It means something to the Bahamiano and who we are, right? Even though it's a heritage festival and not a cultural festival, right? It's bigger. Junkanoo is bigger than the Junkanoos participating inside it. And if it is bigger than the Junkanoos who participate inside it, and that it belongs to each and every Bahamian, there needs to be some type of narrative that we all can appreciate and we all can agree upon. There needs to be some set rules, some set descriptions, some set nuances that we say, hey, this is what it is, accepted by the majority of us. I don't necessarily think that currently exists at this present time. I mentioned the headquarters because the same issue you have about the shacks not getting light, if you had a head office, the head office could facilitate all of that, right? I'm not sure if Junkanoo groups makes any money in terms of, I know they have seed money or whatever it is, but imagine that every other cultural identity around the world, festival or groups, make money. But at this present time, almost 200 years later, a Junkanoo group cannot make a profit. And when I say make a profit, I ain't saying profit to get rich, but a return to say reinvest inside the Junkanoo organization in general. That they cannot even make enough money to say that we can fuel rent for a small office. That we can make very much money to pay electricity bill. That is not happening. That means there's a problem. That means Junkanoo's at risk. And if it's at risk that these Junkanoo groups need help and that they need organizing, then we, the broader community of Bahamians, need to come together and say, how can I help? How can I get you an office space where it could be a museum, it could be a library, and it could also serve as a place and a venue to sell wares and trinkets and so on. But there should be an official place for one family, an official place for a Saxon, an official place for Warhawks. And at this present time, that doesn't exist for no Junkanoo group. They work out of their bedroom.
No. I am not.
We go by Darren Bastia and patients say, Darren, you have any crepe paper?
No.
And he said, come in my room right now.
On another serious
You have no crepe paper in your room?
I am not going to allow
Where you store your crepe paper?
No.
Where you store your crepe paper?
No, let me speak.
Where your cowbell is?
No. I am not going to allow you, right? And I appreciate your MO, right? This morning, right? But I'm not going to allow you to come and totally discredit the work that Junkanoo organizations have done for decades. I'm not going to allow you to do that. Junkanoo in the Bahamas is truly being practiced by a lot of competent people who are socially, culturally, and who are socially and culturally and as well as spiritually invested into this thing that God has given us. Our history is well known, and it lives on pages and in our DNA.
I still ask him where these
Right?
pages are.
No.
You have these high.
No.
You have these pages high.
No. Listen, my
Thank God for the cultural.
right? But I appreciate your argument. Some of it, most of it has been humorous to me, to be very honest. But then it also gives us an idea to see
insight.
the other side of the story.
Any book written
And
by
it
any
is-
Junkanoo?
Yes.
Ooh, give me one name of a book.
Ali just released the book.
That's a picture book.
That's not a picture book.
That's
sir.
a picture book.
No, sir.
Probably is
No,
my
you're saying probably I come to get me, but she just released the book Let's Go to Bay that is written for the perspective of kids going through not only the history of the Bahamas, but the history of Junkanoo, but also it has the history of Bahamas through telling the story of how Junkanoo came about, the history of Junkanoo, but actually walking them through the actual essence of going to the parade. The Let's Get to Bay book she just released. So there's books out there.
Good, and kudos to Arlene, because I've had him wait on our last
well,
round.
no, hold on.
When they get the book.
No, that's coming.
You coming?
That's
okay.
coming. But there's
Come on, read link.
Manny Francis also wrote a book on Junkanoo.
Yes.
And I believe he's writing another book on the history of the Saxons, if I'm not mistaken.
And who owns it?
Right?
Oh, you
I ain't
won't
getting
get
the Saxon
there.
business, boss.
I want to know who owns
Right?
Saxon name. That's what I'm getting.
Go call the people who directly involved with that
Yeah.
argument. They ain't gonna be
I remember when you
right?
was a Saxon. You think I know you long time? I know you long time. I know you long time.
That's a part of my Junkanoo history.
I know when you live.
That's a part of
And
my
I know why you live. I know. Do you want to talk the secrets now? I want to know. Tell me who owned the Saxon Superstars name. Just tell me that.
That ain't got nothing to do with me.
you want-
but anyway,
okay.
back to our discussion. But the discussion this morning has been provocative,
Yeah. And
amusing in some respects.
and some of the points that you've raised in terms of we spoke about writing non-negotiables when it comes to Junkanoo that makes up the fabric of what this thing is. We've spoken about that. We've spoken about making sure that we have certain narratives off and getting those things done. And trust me, the work is being done. The work is a lot of people on the ground doing a lot of stuff. And what people must understand, and you get to see with appreciating it with doing your own research, is that you got to do this on your time and on your dime, because you're not being paid for it, and it's because for your love of it is why you continue doing it. And we have a lot of people who have the same regard in the Junkanoo community. Like Arlene has said, that this is a healthy and critical conversation that must be had. And I'm thankful that you showed up to have the conversation.
And he was brave enough to express himself.
Yes.
I would know why y'all trying to make Junkanoo look like carnival. Y'all need to stop that. Junkanoos need to stop that. I know when y'all went there, and then y'all lobby the same persons who Junkanoos who went to carnival is the persons who lobbied to have carnival here.
But you see what you did. You see
my point is, y'all evil.
But you see what you
The
have done.
Junkanoos evil.
You see what you have done, right?
The audacity of doing that.
You have still
You bring whole new spirit. Whole new spirit to the Bahamas. Junkanoos did that.
And at the end of the show, he is still yet to define what Junkanoo is.
I know he ain't carnival, but y'all bring carnival here. I mean, the feathers look just like the big Indian dance inside the United States. It looks just like the one in Brazil. It looks just like the one in Trinidad. And I'm saying, hey, I know this.
I'm getting a special note from the principal that to tell him we want him back. We ain't finished. Alright.
Y'all getting me, man.
Any closing remarks before you
Feeling
go?
pressure.
I feel the pressure.
Any closing remarks before you go, Bastian?
No, like I said, it was a healthy discussion, and I'm sure also some of our viewers were either on one side of the fence or on the other side of the fence, just not on CA Newry side of the fence, right? Our history is well documented, and we live our history every day. And Junkanoo is one of those things that's sacred to us, and we truly forgive you for not understanding who he is. Right, and you realize your present, what your MO was this morning.
I will close
Thank
with
you
this.
for coming.
Yeah, man, I
And we'll
appreciate
see
it.
you
I
next
appreciate
week
it.
as well.
Man, invite me back.
Get permission to come out this time.
My point is, I still am concerned that Junkanoo's at risk. I see Junkanoo being morphed into something that is completely contrary to what Junkanoo is supposed
I
to
don't
be.
think Junkanoo is at risk. I think the way we practice, the way we produce our parades is at risk.
I see you trying to speak double speaking thing.
No, it ain't so.
Whatever it is.
We gotta go. This has been our time. We want to say a special happy Father's Day out. Bastian, Ronald, special happy Father's Day to you guys. Phenomenal, man. CA
You as well, my
special
brother. CA,
Father's
you
Day.
too.
Thank you very much.
To you guys. I know your wife puts up with a lot. I hope she let you in the house after hearing the show. But
Why is she?
folks,
Ishmael already have his tires flat out.
it has been another exciting show. Thanks for the healthy conversation. It's all about us and all about you. Here we do it at Junkanoo 242 in the 242. And until we meet again, let everything that we do show beyond the shadow of a doubt that we are all proud to be Bahamians. We'll see you next week.